Welcome to the Panthers Sports Zone. I'm Zach Collins. That's typically the entrance I would use, but now since I'm at home, I don't have my two co-hosts here with me. So therefore, now we're going to be focusing on my point of view. I like to call this a little subsection of Panther Sports Zone called Zach Knows. And we're going to be covering just a month and a half that we're away from school, giving you more content as for probably my most interesting part of the year because it's NFL playoffs, it's bowl season, and this is really what I look forward to. And I was trying to figure out a way where we could still cover it, and I was obviously given this platform, so now I'm allowed to. And we'll still be covering HBCU news, still be covering NFL, NBA, but it's just in a different setting. Obviously, I'm not in the TV area. I'm back home, but I still want to give y'all some news. So first, we'll start off with our men's basketball team lost last night to University of Louisiana Lafayette, 90-122. I'm not liking where the season is going, but it's still early in the season. Our record is 1-9, so that's not telltale of I feel what the talent is on our team, but that's where we at and that's where we stand. We're still taking 30-point losses to teams I don't feel like we're 30 points less than, but it's just one of those forks in the road. They couldn't say much to us when we were losing those games where we felt like we had the highest offense in the SWAC and we weren't producing to that standard, so I can't really point the finger and blame them, but it's just I feel like I know the talent that's on their team, and I feel like it is not living up to its potential right now, so that's something we definitely need to fix. Going over to the women's side of things, they lost to Rice last Saturday, 58-68. That was a game I was there to watch, obviously, because it was a home game. We was in the rec, and the energy they was feeding off of. It felt like every time we would get closer into the game, someone would bring us back, or Rice would keep pulling away. It would always, they'll get the lead down to 2, get the lead down to 3, even tie the game up at certain points, but Rice would just find a way to pull back. And I also think it has to do with size. All our girls aren't. I think our tallest girl may be 5'10", 5'11". Rice had a girl that was legitimate 6'7". Like, I walked past her after the game, and you could just see her just standing over everybody around her, and just looked a little stretched out. But I think that's our biggest thing is we don't have a big girl on the team as far as getting rebounds, playing in the post. That's all they did. They kept getting second chance opportunities, so that's one of the things. But I feel like they're doing a little bit better. Tonight they play Colorado, so we'll see how that fares out with them being a Pac-12 school. We'll see where our talent lies going into SWAC play, because soon as we get back to school, it'll be right there, right upon us. So that's something that we look forward to. We also, as far as for football, commits continue to roll in. They just had a quarterback commit last night from Cedar Hill. It's been a couple of kids they're trying to get on campus. I don't know where they're going with this class, but as long as they keep getting talented players, we should be good. We're offering all types of kids. It'll be this is JUCO signing period, so I'll keep y'all up to date about who we get, because like I told y'all, they want to get more veteran kids. They don't want to deal so much with the high school kids because they have the win now mentality. So they're looking forward to people that can come in and contribute right away. Not saying freshmen can't, but it's a different type of level, and you're dealing with when you want a national championship team, you need players that are ready to come in and compete, and not players you have to teach the little things about, like working hard or everything that it comes with being a collegiate athlete. So I feel like that's why they're leaning towards those type of players, whether it be JUCO athletes. So it's just certain things to look at. Each coaching staff, they have their own outlook on things. So this staff just happens to be a win now mentality, which is something that I loved when I was a part of it, because everybody wants to win, and I feel like we definitely have the talent. They only need certain pieces in order for it to take them to the other level. And that's the thing. Football is a game of, people think it's big differences between wins and losses, and it's not. It's 4 to 5 plays can either help you win or help you lose. Look at the Southern game, tip picks, we lose 38-0. But moving forward, in other HBCU news last night, We almost had our second quadruple double in the SWAC. Marcus McKnight, he's a point guard or guard, I want to say, for Arkansas Pine Bluff. He had a triple double and he missed his. He had, I want to say, 8 rebounds was the only thing that kept him from getting a quadruple double. That is insane. And you could see last year when the girl from Gremlin, she got the first quadruple double in since 1985 or something, or maybe even longer than that. You could just see when you accomplish those type of feats, one, that tells you the type of talent that we have in the SWAC is not just something that can be overlooked, because these are people that are doing things that haven't happened in a long time, no matter what level they're at. So that tells you the amount of talent in the SWAC. And also, Arkansas Pine Bluff being a team to look out for, obviously next to Grambling, next to Texas Southern, but that's also a viable candidate for winning the SWAC championship. And that's a player last year that stood out to me whenever we played Pine Bluff, and he was one of their key pieces, I feel like, that helped them come back and be into this SWAC run. As soon as conference play starts, he'll definitely be a player to look out for. In other HBCU news, we have upcoming the beginning of bowl season, which is the Celebration Bowl. You have Alcorn State versus North Carolina A&T. And with me being a SWAC guy, you would think that I would want Alcorn State to win, but it's not that I don't want them to win. It's just I feel like Alcorn State knows how to get to the dance, and North Carolina State finishes. So with that being said, I'm leaning as far as picking North Carolina A&T to win the HBCU National Championship. I feel like they've had a month to prepare. They knew with both teams they would have played out of Alcorn or Southern. They knew they was playing a running quarterback. They knew what they would have to do. They knew what they would have to do when they faced them. This team is a very technical, sound team. They play their gaps. You're gonna have to do more than just out athletic them, because they're athletes, but they know how to play sound defense. Now, will Noah Johnson come out and play how he's been playing all season? Of course. That's something we expect. He put up 40 points against New Mexico State. Excuse me. So that's something we can always look forward to. But as far as for who wins the HBCU National Championship, I'm leaning towards North Carolina A&T just because I feel like they've done it before. This is a rematch of the first Celebration Bowl they had 4 years ago, where they both played the same teams, and obviously North Carolina A&T came out with their victory. Now it's a little different. You have McNair as the head coach, who's trying to win his first national championship. He just finally beat the odds. This season has been a season for him where he overcomes a lot of things. He finally beat Grambling for the first time. He finally led his team out of the SWAC championship to the national championship. And as far as for North Carolina A&T, they have a new coach. Their coach last from the first championship, he retired. So now they have this coach, and he's coming and making it's the old regime's players, but I feel like he's trying to put his own imprint onto this team. They're trying to go back to back. So it's just things to look out for. But as far as for me, I'm picking North Carolina A&T to win the Celebration Bowl. And then also going into other bowl games, you have Utah State versus North Texas. This is a tough game because it was a certain point in the season. After they lost to Michigan State, Utah State was playing out of their mind from week 2 to week 10, week 11. And then their season started to sputter towards the end. And you could say the opposite for North Texas. North Texas was sputtering in the beginning, not really because they won, but they took a loss to Louisiana Tech that I felt like they shouldn't have lost that game. And I feel like that was their wake-up call. So for this bowl game, I'm going to lean towards North Texas to win that game just because I feel like they're more of in a rhythm, and I feel like they have more to prove, as well as Utah State. They feel like they should be on a bigger bowl. They shouldn't be on the first day of bowls. And I feel like they feel slighted in a sense because they played Michigan State tough, and they won these games. They was ranked at certain points in the season where they was 25, and then now they have to play North Texas. I feel like they're not going to get up for the game compared to how North Texas is preparing for the game. Also, you have Tulane playing Louisiana Lafayette. I feel like that'll be a Tulane winning team. This is two battles of a team from Louisiana. They're going to play in Florida. But this is a game that should be interesting. We're dealing with the early bowl games. This is all the 6-6, the teams that's 7-5. No conference championships here, but it'll still be quality games. Now the next game I feel like will be a dominating performance by Fresno State. They play Arizona State. Arizona State has the Pac-12's leading rusher in Eno Benjamin, a kid from around here, around Texas, and they have an offense, but Fresno State has a defense that is, I would say, second to none as far as in their conference, where they stand, the level of ball they play, not Power 5, but they're right in that next tier, and they play some of the best defense in the nation. So I feel like as though Fresno State will win that game. In the next two games, you have Georgia Southern playing Eastern Michigan. Nobody really cares about. But I'm gonna say Georgia State wins that game, and then Middle Tennessee plays Appalachian State. I'm gonna take Appalachian State just because that's a program you've seen over the years come from D1AA, and typically teams, when they make those jumps, they have losing streaks, and they're one of the few teams that carried on winning. Their program has been one I watched out for since they beat Michigan, I want to say in 2009. So it's just intriguing to watch a program steadily climb and become better and grow as you grow. So that are the first day of bowl games coming up this weekend. And then now we're going to move on forward into the NFL news. You have Texans' 8-game winning streak, or 9-game winning streak, was snapped this past Sunday. That was an eye-opener. I was telling my co-host before that you can't really lean on that offense because their offensive line is questionable. Their running back, Miller, he hasn't lived up to the contract they signed him to since he's left Miami. And their offense is really just put in Deshaun Watson's hands. Hope he can get the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. And if that can't happen, we're in trouble. It's not really, if you watch NFL today, everything is about the motions, the screens, the setting up the play. And the Texans' offense is boring, if we're being completely honest. They don't window dress. They don't set up plays to get DeAndre Hopkins open. It's just they want their athletes to beat the other team's athletes, and whoever comes out on top, that's who I feel like they think they can win. And I don't think that's a recipe for winning whenever you play NFL, because coaches are scheming. They're going to dial up plays. They're going to take away your best option. And when they do that, what are you going to do? And for the Texans, once you take away DeAndre Hopkins, they're in trouble. So that's just something that I felt like I seen coming. My co-hosts didn't want to believe me because they're diehard Texans fans. But now, looking at it, you can see what happens. Also, before we go further into NFL news, Kyler Murray won the Heisman. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to Tua and to Dwayne Haskins for both making it to New York. That's an accomplishment within itself, because for you to be in the top 3 players in the nation across the country, where it's 130 Division I institutions, and that's not even including FCS where it's 102. So for that's an accomplishment. But I told you there was going to be Texas. I told you he was going to win the Heisman. And when he beats Alabama, I'm going to be here to tell you. Because that's something that's going to happen. Now the discussion is he going to be a baseball player and go to the MLB, or is he going to go try his way at the NFL? I would say being a quarterback, you can't do both. That's the biggest thing as far as when people bring up Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, players like that. He's athletic enough to play both sports, and he's good enough to play both sports. But the issue is, as an NFL quarterback, you have to eat, breathe, and sleep football. That's the reason why Russell Wilson only goes to Texas Rangers spring camp, because it's just something to ease him down. That might be what he's done his whole life, so it's just a part of his routine. But he doesn't go any further than that. And they're comparing him lately to like Tebow, or seeing as if he goes play football first, then comes back to baseball. I don't think you should compare him to Tebow, because Tebow only played high school baseball. He didn't play baseball at the University of Florida. So that's just something to think about. And for me, I would tell him the smart thing to do would be go to get his money in the MLB, to go play that game. He's been a part of it. That's something he's used to. but he'll never get the feeling, and he'll never have this experience from Norman or wherever he plays. I don't think Oakland is gonna give him that same type of feeling. And when you're a football player, when that's what you come from, when you're in the state of Texas, his high school band had 1,000 members. He's used to a different type of lifestyle. So for him to give all of that up, Oklahoma is out of the question. He's not coming back. He's gonna win that championship, and then he's not coming back. But as far as for him within himself, I feel like he wants to choose football, but he's also logical and understands he is 5'9". He has immense talent to play MLB. And it's just the matter of fact of learning if this game is for him or if it's not. And I feel like he can always go from football to baseball, but he can't never go from baseball back to football, because once you get out of this game, it changes. This game changes every 2 to 3 years. Every system that gets put in, like, yeah, the spread system, you had Wildcat quarterbacks, you had all of these things, and they don't work anymore. The coaches are different. So for me, I feel as though psychologically he wants to play football, but he understands for the long haul, for his kids, if he ever has kids, if for his family, for his future to set that up, he'll go play baseball because he's done. He's the Heisman Trophy winner. He's considered the best player in the United States, the best player in college football. So I feel like if he wins the national championship, that'll happen. But also, let's say he has a bad game against Alabama, he might really consider just saying, it's time for me to play MLB. And I would like to give credit to the Oakland A's for allowing him to stay at Oklahoma and being able to live out his dream, because I know certain organizations, they ought to be like, no, we paid you. You have to come play for us. So that's something I'd like to give them credit for, in allowing him to still pursue what he wants to do and come back. And then I would say live up to his contract because he did sign it. So that's just something to think about. Back to the NFL news. As bad as I hate to say it, the Cowboys are on a winning streak. They continue to roll. This defense is playing out of their mind. They keep leaning. The big three, well, I'll say 2.5. 2.5 being 1 is Zeke, 2 is Amari Cooper, because Amari Cooper's been playing damn good ball since he's been with the Cowboys, excluding his first Tennessee Titan games, because obviously that's an anomaly. That's not the person he's been. He had a 3-touchdown game this past weekend. And that's when you have a defense the way the Cowboys have a defense that's one of the top in the NFL, excuse me. They lean on having their playmaker score 1 touchdown. You score a touchdown, we're good. You can see the Saints game where it's a low-scoring game. And that's all it's about, just giving us 1 or 2 touchdowns. Amari Cooper making plays. Dak putting the ball in an area where he can get it. He's not as accurate. He's not putting it on him like he should, because that's just not in his game. But he's giving Amari Cooper an opportunity to make a play. And that's the thing I would like to commend for him, is that he's just putting it in an area. He's not losing his team the game. The thing about Dak, he had 3 turnovers, but he didn't lose the game for his team. It's a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL, Blake Bortles, Mark Sanchez, lower caliber quarterbacks like that. I'm not putting Dak in that category, but as far as for his team, I feel like there's certain points where he may hold them back just because of his ability. And if the play calling is not correct, they'll be wrong. But the key for the Cowboys' success is not only getting the ball to Amari Cooper, but letting Ezekiel Elliott get his touches. I think he had 20 carries and then 12 touches out of the backfield. So when he's your number 1 running option and your second option in the receiving game, that pays dividends, because obviously when the running back gets the ball, it's the lineman out, getting out. And they feed off of Zeke's energy. Everybody in the stadium is doing the little eat dance and things of that nature. So the Cowboys are we talk about this road to the playoffs, this week 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And we're looking as far as who's going to ride this all the way into the playoffs. Who's going to have this momentum? With the Cowboys being C3, 4, they're going to have to play from first weekend of the playoffs all the way through. And I feel like that helps teams who have momentum. It doesn't die off with that bye week. They're not going to have to take their starters out week 17 because they feel they're going to get hurt. They could just roll right into the playoffs. And you can start to see defensive teams coming together and building on their own. Look at the Chicago Bears, what they just did to the Rams offense. The Rams, since Sean McVay has been there, they haven't won a game without scoring a single offensive touchdown. And the Bears did that to the defense. You have Khalil Mack, you have Eddie Jackson, Prince Amukamara, the kid from Georgia. But actually, they had two. They had the linebacker and the DN. You have Danny Trevathan. These are all quality defensive players. And you've seen this team build throughout their season. And I would tell them, watch out for the Bears, watch out for the Bears. And they're finally coming to fruition. They have the offensive weapons. Mitch Trubisky is still kind of hurt. He's a little iffy. But I think that team definitely has an opportunity to do something good within the playoffs because at the end of the day, this league has turned into an offensive league, but defense conquers all. And when you have the ability to stop teams as potent as the LA Rams and you hold them to 6 points, no touchdowns, that says a lot about your team, especially when they have to come into Chicago where everybody doesn't play in a dome. They got to come to Soldier Field where it's going to be 10 degrees and with a wind chill of -15 or something like that. So they definitely have an advantage. Those are the two teams I watch out for in the NFC. And then let's go over to the AFC where I feel like Patrick Mahomes has secured his ticket as the NFL MVP. Not only because Drew Brees had a bad 2 streaks of the game, which we're not, people that aren't really giving him a hard time for that, but they definitely should. And I feel like that is something that definitely needs to be, I would say, a hole in his resume. And it's a sad thing because Drew Brees isn't going to probably get that MVP that most, you would say, greatest quarterbacks of all time. They have those certain notches in their belt, in a sense, as far as him having the accolades. But he'll have all the passing records, so I feel like that should do more than just an award. But he's not having a better season than Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry. Patrick Mahomes is literally playing it out of his mind. When you are a young kid, I say a kid, him being a couple years, like 2 years older than me, but a kid in the sense of the NFL where this year only your second season. It's probably his 15th game playing, and you're rolling right and throw a no-look pass. I'm looking at you. He throws the ball, not looking at the receiver. He's just playing at a different level. It was questions earlier in that week of are they going to lose to the Ravens because the Ravens have a defense like the Cowboys, like the Bears, that's slowly coming together, building, finding their chemistry, and becoming a team that's one to watch out for because they're slowly creeping behind the Pittsburgh Steelers who are crumbling. And he didn't allow that team. It was plenty of times the Ravens had a chance to win that game, and he didn't allow that team to beat him. And that's a trait, I feel like, that's something you're either born with or you don't have it. And he has, lack for a better word, killer instinct. Now, coming up this Thursday, you will get to see the 2 best teams in the AFC West, the Chargers and the Chiefs. I don't really like Thursday games because it doesn't give the players time to develop. Heal from their injuries. So that's going to be something to look out for. These games always have issues at this time of year because it is late in the season. People's bodies are starting to break down. And when you have that quick turnaround, it's not a good outlook. But for me, I'm going to be picking the Chargers. Not Chargers. Although I love Derwin James. I love the way that defense is playing. If it was any team to beat the Chiefs, I feel like it would be the Chargers. But Patrick Mahomes is playing at a different level right now. And I feel as though he not only needs for his team to win, he has to have an amazing game. You know, we all know the Kareem Hunt incident where he doesn't have a running back to lean on. They have a couple C-grade running backs that fill the void. They just signed the West kid who knows the offense, but it's not the same as Hunt. So they're leaning solely on Patrick Mahomes, and I feel like he will lead them to victory this upcoming Thursday. Also, a couple of games to look forward to this weekend. Browns trying to beat the Broncos. The Broncos are 6-7. The Browns are 5-7-1. Browns are fighting to have their first winning season in Lord knows how long. So that's something to look out forward to. Look out forward to. That's not right. Look forward to. But as far as we just spoke about the Steelers. The Steelers are slowly in trouble. Obviously, me being a Browns fan, I want to say they're going to win. But that's not even the question right now. It's the Steelers play the Patriots. The Steelers just lost to the Raiders, who are more than likely going to have the first pick in the NFL draft. And that's a glaring issue. They said that they on the sideline, he didn't have the technology to see what was wrong with Ben Roethlisberger in his X-ray. That's just excuses building on excuses. You can see this franchise crumbling right in front of your eyes, whether it be the Le'Veon Bell issue, where you see them slowly take digs at certain players whenever they leave or don't want to be there. And this is not a recipe for success. This is not the Steelers of old, where they keep everything in-house, where Rooney has everything under control. And if they don't get it together, they're definitely might end up missing the playoffs. Because, like I told you, the Ravens aren't stopping. The Ravens are coming. They have a quarterback controversy, and they're still keeping it together. So the Steelers have a lot of things they need to fix before this weekend. And then finally, let's go into Kevin Durant versus LeBron James. I'm not a LeBron guy, so of course, everybody thinks I'm anti-LeBron in the sense of whoever takes digs with him, I'm going to ride with him. But the things Kevin Durant is doing, I'm not a fan of. It would be different if he was playing LeBron that night, or LeBron is just brought up to him, or anything is like that such. But he's going out of his way to make these assumptions about LeBron, and I don't feel like that's something as a man should do. Not taking a shot at his characteristic, but it's just, you don't do certain things. I wouldn't want anybody speaking on me if they don't have to come see me or I'm not on their agenda. And I feel like he's doing it for the attention. He's on the Warriors. He already receives this certain amount of attention. But we all know when they don't bring him up into the best player conversations, when they don't do certain things, he gets a little hurt by it. And he's one of those players who reads every tweet, who reads every column, who sees every video that's posted about him, and it hurts him. So we can understand why he's doing it, but what he's doing is not okay. And I don't feel like the shots he takes are valid, because why is he doing that? Why does he want this attention so bad from the media, from LeBron James? Like, why do these words mean so much to him? That's really what I want to know. But he has his own issues dealing with Kawhi Leonard, the Warriors, and the Raptors play tonight. I'm taking the Raptors, who are surprisingly leading the Eastern Conference, because obviously ego, I feel, has crept into the Celtics locker room, and everybody feels like they need it. But this is definitely going to be a game to watch out for. Y'all know me. Y'all know I'm more on the football end, but games like this get me intrigued because these are two of the powerhouses. You get to see, I would say, 3 of the top 5 players in the NBA, with Curry, KD, and Kawhi Leonard who is quietly the MVP of the first quarter of the season, but we're not going to talk about that. I have to give credit to my co-host about saying Kawhi Leonard was going to be the MVP. He's playing like it. He's starting to fall in love with the city of Toronto, which he had questions about. And you just see these certain things manifesting into him not even wanting to go to Toronto, and now he's loving it, now he's winning, and now he's a focal point. I don't like his New Balance deal, but that's neither here nor there. I'm a Jordan man myself, so for him to leave Jordan, that's kind of against me, but it's definitely something to look forward to. This has been the first installment of the Zach Knows podcast, as far as being under the umbrella of the Panther Sports Zone. I'm Zach Collins. Thank you.